Dillon Brooks, Donovan Mitchell, they got tangled up in this last game. And the reason why I wanted us to kind of touch on this and talk about it is, at first, Shannon Sharp caught a lot of flack. And listen, rightfully so. Like, as a fan, you got to be a spectator. A spectator, be cool and calm. You can be a fanatic, but there's rules to engagement, especially if you're a Hall of Fame old head OG like Shannon Sharp. But I mean, I feel like there's a little bit of like kind of vindication here. Dillon Brooks well, I can't say it on air because we would have to dump it. But
Mama, no!
Yeah,
he's a dirty basketball player. I mean, that's the best way you can put it without
we ain't gonna
being egregious.
He's a D-bag, man. He's a D-bag. Like, he's one of them dudes. I'm waiting for them in the tunnel after the game, and we're going to have to thump. Like, I'm going to have – because you playing me too close. And the fact that you would hit me the way that you hit Donovan, like, I got to get me some get back on that. Like, you're not just going to get away from – in the parameters of the game – you did something totally out of the parameters of the game.
You know what, LaVar?
And I can't believe I sat there and I watched Reggie Miller say it wasn't intentional.
No, that was –
come on, man.
Once he realized he was in between Donovan's legs, he threw his arm up on purpose. That was definitely intentional.
You know what it is, though? He received a one-game suspension. They play 82 games. A one-game suspension isn't really enough to deter someone from doing this again. I don't believe it's enough. But a guy like Dillon Brooks, he's in the NBA because he's a enforcer, so to speak. He's going to play great defense, should be able to knock down the three. I looked at his stats. Like, the last few years, he's played well. This year, not so much offensively. And so now I believe he's doing extracurricular that has nothing to do with basketball because he's not playing as well this year as he has in years past. But you can't do that because, yeah, he plays for the Memphis Grizzlies right now. Moving forward, you don't know where your future may be and what team you may play on. And some of these players that have the pull as of Donovan Mitchell, they not going to want to play with you moving forward. Now, can he let bygones be bygones? The late, great Kobe Bryant, he had a problem with Matt Barnes. They formed teams, and they got along very well. But Kobe is a different dude. Like, you got to be careful with what you do in today's game. But I believe the NBA, with a one-game suspension, I don't believe that's enough. Not when you play 82 games. It's not enough.
They're basically docking them one game. Check, which I believe is like $78,000, which is a lot of bread.
What?
But at the same time,
I'm crying over that.
Yeah, but this whole thing with Dillon Brooks, it goes back to last year when he made that dirty play on Gary Payton Jr.
Yes,
and basically put him out of the playoffs and almost broke this man's arm when he came down for the layup. And he's starting to gather this reputation, just like you said, TJ. I don't think there are going to be a lot of guys that want to play with him because he's going about it doing the wrong way. He has this attitude of the early '80s, late '80s in the NBA basketball.
You think he Charles Oakley or something?
Rick Mahorn and the late Anthony Mason.
Yeah,
those kind of guys when they was really getting it in on the basketball court. Hey, but for him, man, do you know that Dillon Brooks almost fouls out just about every basketball game? So he is a player that you're not looking for him to come into the game and give you 25 points and 10 assists. He's going to defend. He's going to disrupt your best player in the backcourt, and he's just going to play his game, whatever that may be. He may give you 8.7 rebounds, a couple steals, but he always fouls out of the game, so he's never there when you need him. But that whole thing with Donovan Mitchell, man, I think going back to the Western Conference last year, knowing that, they were unable to beat the Utah Jazz when Donovan Mitchell was a part of that basketball team. And that's one of the main reasons why the Memphis Grizzlies would not take that next step as far as competing with a Golden State or or Dallas and those top tier teams in the West, because you're gonna continue to have guys like Dillon Brooks that's gonna continue to hurt them and not let them to grow and move forward.
We're going to get to Isaac Lowenkron in just 2 seconds. I just will say this, and I'll add this to the conversation, and we'll move on. We're going to talk Sean Payton to the Jets. We'll talk Jets preparing to go after Aaron Rodgers, all in on Aaron Rodgers. But I'll say this, man.
I told you, Mr. Burress.
But I'll say this. There are guys like Anthony Mason and Charles Oakley and all those guys that we named that was the culture of the game. You even had Robert Parrish punching dudes upside the head during the course of a play. But once the rules change and once things change and it is of a certain expectation, there's rules of engagement. That man punching that man below the belt like that and punching him in his family pride, I can't. There's no way to justify a dude being that dirty. And honestly, I'm not one to condone violence. I'm not a violent dude. What I am is a sensible
tooth chipper.
I'm a practical dude.
Tooth chipper.
If you take me beyond the point of what where the danger is the danger or the damage is the damage, I will try to chip your teeth. I certainly will. And you know what? That's just warrior mentality. If we're going to be out here and we're competing at a certain level, then let's compete at that certain level. If the rules of engagement coming in is we know that this is what it's going to be, then you know what? The league needs to brace for it, and those teams need to brace for it. That's what we saw with Detroit Pistons and Chicago Bulls and the Celtics and the New York Knicks back in the day. That's what we expected. That's what you braced for, and that's what it was. That's not what it is now. But if you're not going to take a firmer stance on those things like that, then you need to be prepared for if something pop off the way that it pops off when it goes outside the parameters and the realm of the game.